like kind of like not defying the odds, but it's really like going against what a lot of things are telling you to do.
You know, I think the reason I got into engineering was to help people. From the start, I took a missions trip in high school to Haiti, and I fell in love with the country. And the thing that I noticed that really set it apart was the fact that it couldn't grow and expand beyond the earthquake that happened. Is that they just had really poor engineering, and I thought, well, like if I see something that's wrong, like I want to fix it, and that's why I got into engineering. And so I think for my future, I mean, I'd love to work for like a big corporation, a big company. Like for example, I'm working in Kentucky this summer with an insurance company, and then I'm working for an aviation company in the fall. I think that's great to do things that I love, but I'd eventually like to use my skills that I'd get from engineering to go out to third world countries. So I think one of the main things with engineering is helping people, and that's what I'd love to do in the future.
I've always cared about the subject just because I can easily project onto like my mother or my sister or anyone, a friend who's a woman, and realize the social issues involved with that, hoping that they can get the same as me, let alone any woman out there.
I think from the outside you're like, wow, there's like no one in there, and then you're like, on the inside, like you can find support systems like other female engineers.
Yeah, and on the inside, I don't even see a difference between, like, the guys and the girls in the class.
No.
It doesn't even occur to me that, like, oh, hey, I'm one in 2 females in this 40-person class.
If you were to look at, like, straight grades, I'm sure, like, it's not like, oh, here's all the men, and then there's all the women, but somehow.
I think it might be the opposite.
Probably.
Like, I feel like we try harder.
We have to, like, prove ourselves.
I think it's hard not only being a female in engineering, but being a female of color in engineering is even more difficult, coming from my personal experiences. For example, I've had many people tell me, oh, well, like, they need affirmative action, so that's why you got that job, or that's why you got that internship. And it's because not only are you a female, but because you're a black female, so you're even more marketable for a company.
How does that make you feel?
I mean, it's very discouraging because as a person, and especially as an engineer, I think you almost try even harder when you're a female. So you try to get better grades, you try to be a part of more groups, you try to do those things that recruiters look for. And for someone to just say, well, you only got that because of your gender and your race, it's incredibly disheartening, and it kind of demoralizes everything you've done as a person and as a student, because you think, oh, well, maybe they're right for a second. And then I think it's really important just remind yourself, like, no, I worked hard to get that 4 point in that calc class, even though I stayed up and I cried myself to sleep many nights because it was incredibly hard and difficult. But I think it's just important to, like, say, hey, I deserved this. I deserve this job. I deserve this internship because of who I am and because of my qualifications, not because of my gender or my race.
I think I noticed it was strange to be a female in engineering when I was filling out, like, college apps. And then there's all these things like scholarships if you're a female going into engineering, and then you get all these emails that are like, join Women in Engineering, join the Society of Female Engineers, Phi Sigma Rho. And I was like, why is this such a big deal that I'm a female? So I didn't even notice until people were like, we'll help support you. I was like, support me for what?
Right.
I don't understand. So that's kind of when I realized that, like, being a female in engineering was different.
I think it's sad that we have to have those support groups. Like, you need to be supported for just being a woman in your field of work. I think it's great that people do that, but I also think it's kind of sad that it's come to that.
Honestly, I don't think female support systems, like, I think we're all just a support system, so I didn't see a big difference, really, between, like, we're all females, let's stick together, opposed to just, like, we're all engineers, let's stick together.
We're both in Phi Sigma Rho, the engineering sorority. And it's not the fact that we're all girls that we're unified, it's the fact that we're all engineers. And so it's like, there's so much, like, I guess personality-wise that comes with being an engineer. Not saying, I'm sure anyone can do it, but, like, there's a certain mindset that you need going into it. It's just, like, a way of thinking, and that's what makes us similar, not the fact that we all have boobs.
Yep.
The fact that it's always how do you feel about being a woman in engineering? Like, it should just be, how do you feel about being an engineer? Because that's what I am at the end of the day. My gender doesn't really play a big part in that. And so I think kind of getting over that, like, I just have the mindset of, well, like, people are going to think what they're going to think. Some people are going to be closed-minded, and some people are going to say things that are offensive that they don't really realize are offensive. But for me, I'm there for one reason, and it's to get my job done. And it's to work in a job that I love. And there are going to be people who have little side comments, but honestly, I learned early on that every battle isn't a war. And there are going to be little things that make me upset, but they're just little battles at the end of the day that I have to get over to be happy in my job and in my life. And, you know, if something's incredibly offensive and it needs to be brought to light, I will. But for the meantime, I think it's just being aware that things are going to happen and they're kind of out of your control. And until we kind of get more progressive in our thinking, it's not really going to change. But, I mean, everything's a battle, and you just got to get over it.